You can pin Manpreet, I guess. All right. Hi, everyone. Good afternoon. Thanks very much for joining for this pre-semi-final virtual press conference with Indian men's hockey team chief coach Graham Reid and the captain Manpreet Singh joining us from Dhaka. All right.
Hi, everybody.
So guys, as usual, please keep all your mics on mute and your cameras off. If you have a question, please let me know. You can raise your hand or leave a message on the chat box so I can come to you. While you do that, let me open the floor for Coach, your assessment from the last few matches in the round robin league.
Yeah, I think we set ourselves a bit of a target to keep getting better during the tournament, and you know the most important part of this tour for us is opportunities, giving people opportunities to show their wares and what they can do at the international level. It's about getting experience again in international hockey. We haven't played. A lot of this team hasn't played hockey internationally for 2 years, or you know, some go back to April 2019, August 2019 before they've had games. So of course others played in the Olympic Games, but as far as a group is concerned, the objective was to keep improving as individuals, but also as a group. And I think, you know, whilst we didn't start particularly well against Korea, I think we've managed to keep improving our performances, and we need to do that again tomorrow.
Right. Thanks, Coach. We have a question from Vivek Prabhakar saying he's with the ANI. Vivek, you can go ahead.
या मेरा प्रश्न मनप्रीत से है। मनप्रीत, इतना इंडिया का लगातार 12 मैचेस जो हुए पाकिस्तान के अगेंस्ट लास्ट, उसमें 11 इंडिया ने जीता है और एक मैच ड्रॉ रहा है, वो कॉमनवेल्थ वाला था 2018 में। तो हम कह सकते हैं कि खासकर पाकिस्तान के विरुद्ध भारत का जो ये परफॉर्मेंस है हॉकी में, डोमिनेटिंग रहा है पिछले 5 सालों में, क्योंकि लास्ट जो हारी थी भारत 2016 में हारी थी सैफ गेम्स में, तब भी फुल स्ट्रेंथ टीम नहीं खेली थी। उसके बाद से इंडिया जब भी पाकिस्तान से खेली है हमेशा जीती है, कई बार तो बड़े मार्जिन से जीती है। तो हम कह सकते हैं हमने पाकिस्तान को डोमिनेट किया है।
एक्चुअली सर, अगर आपने मैचेस की बात करते हो तो डेफिनेटली कि हम लोगों ने डोमिनेट किया, बट ऐसा था कि हम लोग जब भी पाकिस्तान के साथ भी खेलने जाते थे हम लोग हमेशा ऐसे ही सोचते कि हमें अपने बारे में देखना है, कि हम लोग अपना बेस्ट करना है, जैसे ग्राउंड के ऊपर हर टाइम 100% देना है। जो हम लोग दूसरी टीमों के साथ करते हैं वही हमें पाकिस्तान के साथ करना है, क्योंकि मुझे पता है कि ऑफ द फील्ड बहुत चीजें चलती हैं, बट जब हम लोग ग्राउंड के ऊपर चले जाते हैं तो हमारा यही टारगेट रहता है कि जो हमारा गेम स्ट्रक्चर है, गेम प्लान है, उसको फॉलो करें। अगर हम उसको फॉलो करेंगे तो डेफिनेटली जो रिजल्ट है वो हमारे फेवर में जाएगा।
थैंक यू।
Coach, there's a question for you from Swaroop. He wants to know, Graham, you've been with the team for more than 2 years. Is there any specific reason why Asian teams, apart from India, are not in a good place results-wise? Or what is it that India have that other Asian teams don't?
Yeah, that's an interesting question. I think improvement and performance on the highest stage comes through a mixture of daily training environment, which I think India provides a very good daily and training environment for our team, and that's, to be honest, has been our saviour. And I heralded that when I first arrived, that one of the things that perhaps India doesn't realise, or doesn't what's the word I'm looking for? Doesn't appreciate it as much, but it is really, really important, and that is that creation of what we have in Bangalore and our camps that we have in Bhubaneswar and what have you. But it's that daily training environment that helps you get better and better. If you add to that the international competition, put on layers of domestic competition, you know, which perhaps in India lacks a little bit, but I think maybe that's part of the issue for Asia, is access to really good international competition. Also access to players. So for someone like Bangladesh, they struggled to get their players together. I think it's now starting to get a little bit better. They have some more federal funding from national governments. But the other thing is access to good tournaments. You know, I know when Siegfried was with Japan, he was always complaining that there is a sort of a second level, which Asian teams seem to struggle to get through. Once you get into that next level, then it's obviously easier for us to have access to in the old days Champions trophies, but Pro League and those sort of things. So, yeah, I think it's a multi-level thing, that approach that each of the countries need to do, and I think that's what India has done very well. And that is, you know, you need a daily training environment, you need a domestic competition, but you also need international competition that's of the highest quality.
Right. Thanks, Coach. Next question from Jaspreet, Times of India. Jaspreet, go ahead.
Hi, Coach. How are you?
Good, thank you.
Hi, Manpreet. की हाल है?
Hello, बढ़िया भाजी.
वारका तन्नो. बढ़िया.
Thank you, thank you भाजी.
रौड़का लगी हैं घर.
बहुत ज़्यादा भाजी. बस वीडियो तो देखी था उन्होंने बेटी नो.
चलो. Soon you'll be with her, I'm sure. And Coach, we couldn't talk after the Junior World Cup, so I have a relay question from there to here. So, what did you see? If you can sum up at the Junior World Cup, especially in terms of penalty corner conversions, which were very high. Of course, the quality of the teams that we played there was not up to scratch like Canada and the other teams, some of the other teams. But my question related to Asian Champions Trophy and the Junior Hockey World Cup is that if you saw some quality in terms of penalty corner conversions there and 4 penalty corner specialists that were there in that squad, wasn't it judicious to bring a couple of them here and test them, because we need to fill the gap for Rupinder Pal as well as a backup?
Yes, except that really wasn't well. Those guys have just played a big tournament, and yeah, as you see, Vivek is also not here. Wanted to give those guys a rest, and we also wanted to. There is also a level within every country, but it's definitely prevalent in India, and that is, so you have your juniors, and then you have a 21 to 25-year-old groups of players that get missed after a Junior World Cup, and we saw this as a perfect opportunity to be able to provide that middle gap, the one that gets lost. And so, I mean, someone like Manpreet Moore is a very good example, where he was part of that group that just played in the Junior World Cup, but he was a year older, and so missed out. And so that group of 21 to 25-year-olds is a really important group. And when I look back through my experience with Australia, but also with Holland, is that you know, players like Glenn Turner, Simon Orchard, Mark Patterson, there are a lot of them for Australia that came through from that age group, where they don't necessarily, either they miss out on Junior World Cup, or they don't mature as players, or that there's not space for them at that particular time. So it's nice to be able to keep that group around that are still improving and keep getting better. And so that's what we've tried to do this tour. I hope that explains. We have, you know, 3 or 4 drag flickers here, so it's not like we're lacking in that department from a background perspective.
Right. Jaspreet, I hope that answers your question.
Yeah, sure. Thank you, Coach.
Thank you.
Thanks, Jaspreet.
Next, we have Mona from PTI Bhasha. She has a question for Manpreet.
Hi, Manpreet.
Hello, madam.
Congratulations, first of all, बेटी की बधाई हो.
Thank you so much, ma'am.
मनप्रीत, टोक्यो ओलंपिक में मेडल जीतने के बाद पहला टूर्नामेंट ही है ये, और इसमें भी अगर कोरिया को मैच को छोड़ दिया जाए तो कोई हार्ड टेस्ट अभी तक इंडिया का हुआ नहीं है. मतलब यूनिलैटरली इंडिया ने सारे मैच जीते हैं, और जापान को राउंड रॉबिन में हम 6 गोल से पहले ही हरा चुके हैं, सेमीफाइनल भी उन्हीं से खेलना है। तो आपको लगता है कि सीजन की शुरुआत इस तरह के हल्के टूर्नामेंट, मतलब जिसमें आपको किसी ने टेस्ट ही नहीं किया, तो कितना इम्पोर्टेंट होगा ये टूर्नामेंट, और इससे कैसे तैयारियों का टोन सेट होगा?
मैडम एक्चुअली जैसे आपने बोला कि हम लोग ओलंपिक से बाद हमारा पहला कंपटीशन है ये, तो ऐसा नहीं है कि मैडम कि यहाँ पे मैचेस इजी मिल रहे हैं हमें। अगर देखा जाए तो हम लोग जापान भी कल काफी अच्छा खेला, तो ऐसा क्योंकि पूल मैच है, सभी को पता है कि एक ही टीम बाहर जाएगी, बाकी टीम सेमीफाइनल्स खेलेंगी, राइट। तो सभी टीम्स का ये रहता है कि यहाँ की सेमीफाइनल और फाइनल का जो एनर्जी लेवल जो लेवल होता है ना मैडम, वो डिफरेंट होता है। तो हम लोग अभी कंपेयर नहीं कर सकते कि हाँ कि जापान हमसे कल 6-0 से खेला है, तो डेफिनेटली कि उनका भी यही रहेगा कि हाँ कि उनको और ज्यादा अच्छा करना है ना। तो इसीलिए हम लोग उनको किसी भी टीम को अंडर एस्टिमेट नहीं कर सकते, क्योंकि हमारा जो स्टार्ट था कोरिया के साथ, हम लोगों ने 2-2 खेला उनके साथ। तो यहीं पे हमारा यही कि हमें यहाँ से इम्प्रूव करना है, अपने आप को और बेहतर करना है। और यहाँ पे इसमें क्या है कि इस टूर्नामेंट में यंगस्टर्स को काफी अच्छा चांस दिया गया है कि जो उन्होंने इतने टाइम से कैंप्स में अपना हार्ड वर्क करते आ रहे हैं, कि वो अपने जो उन्होंने इतना सीखा है, तो यहाँ पे अपना शो कर सकें कि हाँ कि वो डिजर्व करते हैं आने वाली टीम, क्योंकि आने वाले नेक्स्ट ईयर में काफी अच्छे कॉम्पिटिशंस हैं, राइट। तो ये एक काफी अच्छा प्लेटफॉर्म है उनके लिए कि वो अपने जो परफॉर्मेंस हो यहाँ पे शो करें, कि कोच को दिखाएं कि हाँ कि हम लोग काफी अच्छे हैं, कि हमें आगे भी चांस मिल सकता है, देना चाहिए।
थैंक यू मनप्रीत।
नो वरी सर।
Thanks, Manpreet. Since you mentioned about Korea, I just want to understand, this was a team which you guys drew 1-1 back in 2017 when you were leading India for the first time at the Asia Cup, same
Asia
venue.
Cup.
And again, this time it was a 2-2 draw. Anything particular you want to tell us about Korea? You know, the defensive structure they have. They did kind of surprise us a little bit in that first match. And we could probably play them in the final too.
Yes, actually, they are really good team. Actually, Korea is really good team, because last time when we played with them, we drew 1-1, and this time because they are really, they having good youngster players and some experienced players as well, like a Young. So he's really experienced from behind. He always distribute good passes to the strikers and others. So I think, but somewhere we also didn't play it well. We missed a couple of chances, and we gave them easy chances, but we learned from after that and we improved a lot. So I think if we met in them finals, so definitely we will score more. We can score good goals against them, and we should not give them easy chances.
Right. Next question is from Shantanu. He's with the Hindustan Times. Coach, this is for you. Could you please talk about the biggest gains for India at the Asian Champions Trophy? A lot of seniors were rested, and there have been a few new faces and comebacks. So are you happy with how the youngsters have stepped up?
Yeah, I think in general it's been a good tournament. As I said, our objective was, and I normally draw a graph on the board for the boys to just sort of pictorially show them where we're trying to aim for, and each game you just got to keep getting better and better, and I think we've been able to achieve that. I think the young guys are getting to understand what that it's the full 70 or 60 or 100 minutes, whatever the game is now these days, but it's the whole game that you need to play for, and not just 3 quarters or 2 quarters or whatever it is. I think that's probably one of the biggest things. The other things, and I see also that someone's talked about green cards, which of course is always a difficult thing, because what we've seen in the last 2 years is the amount of international competition we've had is very minimal. And what you get, therefore, is myself and Greg and Shiv and part of the coaching group who are doing the umpiring pretty much 99% of the time that these guys are playing, and our interpretations of what is okay for tackling is not necessarily So I take responsibility a little bit for it, but that perhaps the perception or the concept of a tackle is different in other people's minds, and it's about coming to terms with that. And green cards, as you saw during the Junior World Cup, India was not the only country that had that issue with. They definitely are cutting down on people making tackles when you are retreating into your own in half. And so there are idiosyncrasies like that. We've tried to talk about why we are getting them and making sure that we are careful in when we are tackling back, those sort of things. So yeah, those sort of things we are learning. Also, our ability to finish off, our skills in pressure situations, and we're looking forward to the semi-final tomorrow, and also what the next game, whether it be the grand final or the bronze medal, whatever games we get, we still want to be making sure that we're getting better and that we're learning from those situations. So I hopefully have answered two questions there.
Yes, you have. Thanks so much, Coach. Next question again from Swaroop. He wants to understand Olympic preparation, Olympics, Junior World Cup, and now the Asian Champions Trophy. It's been a busy year. You must be pretty close to a burnout without going back home for a few years now. And when was the last time you took a holiday? And when will you be taking one now?
Yeah, it's thank you very much for your kind thoughts, Swaroop. I appreciate it. I think a lot of it is a mental thing. If you tell yourself that you are looking for a holiday and you're burnt out, and then you are looking for that. But part of it has been really nice in the fact that you've always had the next thing to focus on, and that's been a real positive. Of course, we, both my wife and I miss our kids, and it would have been nice to get home at Christmas, but unfortunately, both sides of Australia at the moment, both Brisbane, where my parents are from, and Perth, where our family and Julia's parents are from, are both still locked until I think February, something like that. So yes, we'll be trying to get 8 or 9 days in Sri Lanka or somewhere like that for Christmas time. For us is quite an important family time, so that will be both enjoyable to get a break, but also a bit sad because we're not with the family. But I always think I try and have a good balance, especially when we're not in tournament mode. In tournament mode, it makes it much more difficult, of course, because you're constantly working out what has to happen next. But yeah, it is difficult, but I think a lot of it's about focusing on the next thing, which is what I talk to our players a lot. You can't change what's happened, but you can change of how you react to those things.
Thanks, Coach. But Swaroop, I must tell you, you would envy Coach's travel plans. He was in Mauritius earlier before
yes, it's true.
Break.
Yes.
And he's a regular in Goa, so he might come out with the travel log soon. You should keep an eye out for that.
Yes.
So
it was much better when I was, painting the
Oh, well, next question from Amit. Amit, do you want to ask the question or do you want me to?
Sure, I'll ask. Hi, Coach. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Great.
No.
Coach, I wanted to understand, not just taking into consideration the Olympic bronze, how would you kind of sum up the year so far for Indian men's hockey team?
Yeah, that's a very good question. It was quite bare of any competition early on. I mean, we went to Germany, and it's a good question to reflect on the year. We started in Germany, back in February, I think, where we were worried whether it was going to be too cold to go, and we went there. I thought we played pretty well. We had some good results against Germany, and we had training matches against Germany. We had a training session with Germany. Who knows? Does that affect what happened in the bronze medal game? Those sort of things. You often question that. Same with Argentina. We went to Argentina. We also played them in the Olympics. So those sort of things were very good, I think, from our experience, and for the amount of games that we were able to play before the Olympics, they ended up being pretty well targeted matches. Pro League, we managed to play a few, but not many. Unfortunately, we missed out on our trip to Europe. If we had have got that, might we have done a bit better against Belgium and in the semi-final? Who knows? So yeah, that was very good. The Olympics, and again, you also need a lot of luck in this game. And people say you create your own luck, and that is true. But when things go well, it's nice, and sometimes you get that bad luck. But we've been pretty good this year from that perspective. I really, as much as perhaps it would have been nice to have a good base of basics training like we did before 2020, I think it was, when I think back, before Pro League, would have been nice to do that. It's also very nice for the guys that didn't go to the Olympics to get an opportunity to show what they can do internationally now. So I think it's been a really good finish to the tournament. But at the end of the day, tomorrow is a really important game, and we need to make sure that we're playing well tomorrow.
Right. Thanks, Coach. Next question from Rika. Rika is with NDTV.
Hi, Coach. This question is for you, and I'll also ask a subsequent question to Manpreet. Well, we are living in unusual times due to coronavirus, and we have seen, because of the second wave, how sports across the world is getting affected. Today, the EPL clubs later in the day have a meeting. Some are not in favor of continuing the league. Would you say these are extraordinary times to be an international coach? On one hand, there is performance pressure that you have to deal with. And on the other hand, it's the pressure, that's the external pressure that's caused by the virus, life in bio bubble, and how do you handle it? मनप्रीत, आपको भी ये सवाल है, कप्तान के तौर पे आप कैसे ये हैंडल करते हैं, और लड़कों को इस दौरान मोटिवेटेड रहने के लिए क्या बोलते हैं आप? Coach, if I can have it from you first, please. Hi, were you able to hear me?
I think their connection has
snapped.
Yeah. Because both of them, I can't see both of them move.
Okay.
Let's just give it a few seconds. Maybe they
right.
will.
Were you able to hear my question, and then
Yes, very clearly. Yeah. But yeah, see, I think they'll have to rejoin. I think they will.
Okay.
The moment you brought up the virus, I think it just kind of. So yeah, but I was just talking to them before this, and he was just mentioning that they are playing in a very strict bio bubble, actually. So
if you could just say that.
Yeah. So let's see. I think they just rejoin. I'm just waiting to see. Yeah. Yes, we have them back. Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah.
That seems to be a little bit of the internet here in
yes.
in Dhaka. It goes beautifully, and all of a sudden just stops.
I just spoke about the virus, and suddenly the line snapped.
Yes.
Should I repeat my question?
Exactly. Yeah, no, I think did you ask Manpreet to start?
I asked you, and then I asked Manpreet as well, but should I repeat my question?
No, that's fine. I can perhaps start. It is difficult coaching in this environment. I think international sport in this environment is difficult. I think we can all get a bit smarter in the way that it operates. And I think the way that they did it in Tokyo was very good, and was certainly much less stressful than perhaps the old PCR testing and what have you. But I must admit, it hasn't been an issue here as far as feeling under pressure to, from the outside. But Omicron at the moment is somewhere off in the distance that's about to come and hit us all, I think. So it is constantly there. That we've been through it all before, I think, as far as the downside is that you don't get the international competition again. So yeah, that's going to be tough. But we also, starting in the new year, we'll be having another camp, and so that's also good that we can focus back on what we need to do to improve after this tournament. As far as the bio bubble is concerned, yeah, there are lots of different versions of it, and some really, really strict, like the Olympic Games, and some others where it's a little bit more difficult to maintain that full security, you know. So I don't know if that answers your question.
Yes, I would just like to hear from Manpreet as well. Manpreet, एक तरफ bio bubble में रहने का pressure, दूसरे और performance pressure, आप कैसे balance करते हैं? And what do you really tell your boys इस दौरान कैसे अपने आप को conduct करना है?
एक्चुअली मैम बी ऑनेस्ट हम लोग लास्ट आई थिंक जब से कोविड है तब से हम लोग बायो बबल में रह रहे हैं, ठीक है। तो आई थिंक अभी इतना कोई ज्यादा डिफिकल्ट नहीं हो रहा कि हाँ कि हमें कोई ज्यादा प्रॉब्लम नहीं आ रहा रहने के लिए। अभी भी अगर आपको नॉइज पीछे से सुनाई दे रहा होगा तो बॉयज अभी भी पीछे एंजॉय कर रहे हैं, तो रूम के बाहर बैठे हैं, सभी एक साथ बैठे हैं। तो ऐसा क्या कि हमें कोई प्रॉब्लम नहीं, हम लोग सभी एक साथ बैठ के एंजॉय करते हैं, कभी बात करते हैं। इससे क्या कि हमें और ज्यादा बॉन्डिंग में काफी हेल्प मिल रही है कि हाँ कि हम लोग एक दूसरे के बारे में और ज्यादा जान सके कि हाँ कि कैसा कि गेम्स के बारे में रिलेटेड हम लोग बात कर सकते हैं, जहाँ कोई और फन बातें जैसे कर सकते हैं। जैसे अभी बाहर जो प्लेयर्स हैं हमारे वो कार्ड्स खेल रहे हैं, तो आपको नॉइज सुनाई दे रहा होगा पीछे से। तो हम लोग ऐसे है कि हम लोग एंजॉयमेंट करते रहते हैं कि हमें ये जो चीजें हैं डिस्ट्रैक्ट ज्यादा नहीं करती हैं, और ज्यादा हमारा मेन फोकस यही रहता है कि ग्राउंड के ऊपर परफॉर्मेंस और वहां से रूम, ये अभी नॉर्मल हो चुका है, रूटीन है हमारे लिए, अभी इतना ज्यादा कोई प्रॉब्लम नहीं हो रही हमें।
Thank you and all the best.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thanks. We just have a few more questions, Coach and Manpreet. Next one from Shrikant. Shrikant, sir, go ahead.
Yeah, hello, hi. Just wanted to understand from you. You played Japan in the league, and now you'll be playing them again. They are the Asian Games champions, and we will be going into the Asian Games next year. So over this and the way the situation is developing, we are not sure whether you will again get to play some of these Asian teams again. So what are the learnings that you will take from this event to the Asian Games?
Is that to me?
Yeah, yes, sir. To you.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, well, it's an interesting one because we played Japan yesterday and we play them again tomorrow. That's always difficult. I remember 2002 World Cup, I think it was in Kuala Lumpur, where Australia played Germany in the round game and beat them 6-1, and then came to the semi-final, and I think they lost 2-1 in penalty strokes or whatever. So things can turn around pretty quickly in this game that we play. So you should never take things too lightly. And when you look at the numbers behind yesterday's game, it wasn't a 6-0 victory, you know. And so that's sort of my job is now to keep these guys back in, or get them back focused in on not letting teams back in and giving. I talk about giving them oxygen, and I think that's what we've been doing. If you saw against Korea, we did that. We gave the team oxygen and they take it. And of course, it's once you take your foot off the pedal, or once you give the opposition opportunities, it's hard to grab control back of the game. And so I think the biggest learnings from this was, I mean, I thought we played very well yesterday, but we also at the end of it gave them far too many opportunities towards the end of the game where, you know, we had to call on our keepers to save us and our penalty corner defence, and you know, that's not going to happen all the time. So you just basically can't allow that to happen. So I think that's probably one of the big learnings is ensuring that when you are playing well, you need to show scoreboard pressure or give scoreboard pressure on top of the opposition, and you also don't let them back in a game by giving them some oxygen to breathe and to get some life back.
Thanks a lot. Thank you.
Next question from Errol. Errol, so you can go ahead.
This is Graham.
Okay.
Hello. Yeah.
Go ahead, sir.
The Asian Games is a real big one next year. And we probably had the Asia Cup before. The news about the Asia Cup is pretty obscure. But don't you think a lot of teams are playing their cards close to their chest? Because It's the big one, and it's a qualification for the Olympic for an Olympic spot.
I think in a normal environment, you could probably say that. Talking with the coaches and getting a feel for it, to be honest, I don't think anyone's holding much back. I think they're just really trying to get themselves organised, getting games, getting their defence, getting their attack sorted. I don't think there's too much holding back from opposition teams, and I think it's one of the other things in my experience when you are the top ranked team, or in this case the highest ranked team in Asia, that one thing you can be sure of is that teams will always be playing their hardest. They'll be playing their best team, and they'll be playing their hardest to beat you, because that's what competition and sport's about. And I think perhaps you could be right in a normal environment, but I think at the moment all the countries are struggling with international competition and trying to get them. So whenever they get a game, I think they will be, throwing as much as they can at it.
Right. Thank you so much.
Thanks. And next question from Saurav. Saurav, you can go ahead. Saurav, if you're there, you can unmute yourself and go ahead, ask the question. No, I don't think he's able to connect. But Coach, there's one question for you. How do you think the performance of Aden, and also that of the two goalkeepers?
Hello, is it clear now?
Yes, but there is some
Okay.
disturbance.
Is it better now? Actually, I think my connection is kind of fluctuating at this point in time, but I think it's pretty stable. I can see it happening.
Yeah. Now you can go ahead.
Yeah, I go much. Hello, Coach. My question is for Coach Graham Reid. Actually, hello, good afternoon. Well, my question to you is, like, we have already gone up and played against Japan, right, in the group stages, and we have won that match decisively. So what are you expecting Japan to do this time around? How different do you think they'll come out this time, knowing it's such a crucial game in the semi-finals, that is? Do you expect anything different from them this time around, or do you expect them to be the same team that you played against in the group stages?
Well, I mean, you should always expect the unexpected, and that's always difficult. So you have to always prepare for as many of those scenarios to happen as possible. I think if you were to look through yesterday's game, that's what I said in that last quarter. They created some very good opportunities from our sort of taking the foot off the pedal, and of course that's understandable when you're 4 or 5-0 up, but we have to be better than that, and that's I think. I'm not a huge fan of trying to predict what the opposition's going to do. I think you sort of come unstuck when they don't do it, what you expect. But for me, coaching is about trying to ensure that for everything that a team can do against you, you have a scenario that you've gone through and talked through the options. And so that's what we'll be talking about tonight. Is okay, this when they penetrated us yesterday, they did this. They're going to probably try and do more of that. So what is our antidote? What is our solution to that? And just making sure that for all the things that they do, we have an antidote for it. And then about more focusing on the way that we play. Does that make sense? It's perhaps a different philosophy, but I feel that it works better for these guys.
Thank you so much, Coach. और मेरा अगला प्रश्न है मनप्रीत जी के लिए।
हाँ जी सर।
हाँ जी, मुझे आपसे पूछना था कि आपको कैसा लग रहा है, इंडियन टीम इतनी अटैकिंग मैच खेली है, तो आपको कैसा लग रहा है सेमीफाइनल में भी क्या वही मतलब जोश बरकरार रहेगी और हम लोग वैसे ही जीतेंगे?
बिल्कुल सर, ऐसा एक्चुअली ये नहीं है कि हम लोग जीतेंगे, क्योंकि हमारा ये है कि हमें पूरा अपना बेस्ट करना है। जैसे कोच ने भी आपसे पहले बताया कि हम लोग उनके बारे में बोल सकते हैं, क्योंकि हम लोगों ने जो लास्ट 1-0 से मैच जीता है, तो बट हम लोगों ने लास्ट में उनको काफी चांसेस दिए थे। यही है कि हाँ, कि नेक्स्ट जो कल मैच होगा उसमें हम लोग उनको कोई चांस ना दें, अपना जब भी हमें चांस मिलता है हमें उसको गोल में करें, ठीक है। और क्योंकि क्योंकि जापान ऐसी टीम है कि वो लास्ट विसल तक पूरा 100% देती है ना, तो यही रहेगा कि हाँ कि उनको कभी भी इतना इजी ना हो कि हाँ कि जब भी उनको चांस मिले वो गोल कर सकें। तो हमारा डिफेंस हमें काफी इंपॉर्टेंट रहेगा कि हम लोग डिफेंस अच्छा करें, और जब भी हम लोग उनके सर्कल में जाएं वहां से हमें प्लेंटी का और नहीं तो गोल जरूर करें।
अच्छा, थैंक यू सो मच, थैंक यू गाइस,
थैंक यू
सो मच।
Thanks both of you for being so patient. I just have two last questions. The one that I was asking you before, Coach, how do you rate the performance of our defense and also that of the two goalkeepers in the absence of Sri Jesh? And will we see Pathak and Suraj getting more opportunities now? Also, which youngsters have impressed you? I know you.
Yeah, you know me, I don't like to comment on individual players, so I'll sort of perhaps be a bit general in that, just from a point of view of Krishan and Suraj and the opportunities. I think in a normal 2021 or a normal Olympics preparation, both these guys would have had a lot more opportunities than what was given. The way things panned out, where we weren't sure what our opportunities were going to be before the Olympics. It's very hard to do what I'm doing now, and that is giving opportunities. And so, but yes, it's always and my philosophy as a coach is to give as many people opportunities to put that pressure on, and what happens is the group lifts up, and I think you see that with these three goalkeepers putting pressure. Very, very good performances by our junior keepers as well. I think that also helps the underneath pressure. So from a point of view of our defence, I think we've done reasonably well. I think there's always so many things we can do better, and man-to-man marking needs to get better. Our transition from zone to man needs to get better. So there's always, as a coach, you always see things that we need to improve on. But I think yesterday, for example, where perhaps in a normal situation it might have been a 4-2, 3-2 situation, 6-0 was a really good score, and to have a clean net yesterday, that was very good performance by everyone back there. Having said that, as I said, we still gave them too many opportunities, and they're the sort of things that I think we need to get better at. I think does that answer all your questions? And again, I know, look, our young guys, I'm very happy with how they're progressing. Each of them have things that they need to work on, and we talk about that, and we're measuring them as we go, but yeah, I'm pretty happy with a lot of the performances. But as any coach will tell you, we're always looking to do better. We can't rest on our laurels. We can't be sitting back going, oh yeah, things going well. We have to keep pushing and getting better.
Right. Thanks, Coach. And the other question is from Mona. She wants to understand about what do you usually tell the team, to be wary of getting complacent after winning so big against Japan yesterday.
Yeah,
You
absolutely.
have a speech like Shah Rukh Khan in Chakte is what she wants to know.
Well, yeah, maybe I need to rewatch that because always looking for inspiration, and it's an interesting one because yeah, I've been tossing around the idea of the this the story I told you before about Australia and Germany and how Australia beat Germany 6-0, and then 2 days later Germany came out and reversed that around, and I suppose. Something along those lines. I also like to show them the numbers behind the numbers. In other words, the opportunities that both teams create. For example, yesterday, the numbers produced were more likely to give you a 3-2, 4-2 result rather than 6-0. So if you just think that 6-0 was the result from yesterday, then yes, you can get complacent. But in reality, if you look at those numbers behind the scenes, then yeah, you just say, well, we gave them too many opportunities, and we need to make sure tomorrow we don't do that to give you that buffer. So they're the sort of those two things. Tell them a bit of a story about what you've experienced before. Show the numbers a bit more about behind the scenes, about how that affects it, and because when you come from a game, you often get bamboozled or transfixed on the result from a goal perspective, and it's nice to get another different perspective, and that's what our GOT score does. And as I said, that was more like a, yesterday it's 4-2, 3-2 type result. So when you explain that to the players, hopefully they understand that Japan are a very, very good team, and world rankings at the end of the day, especially in this time of COVID where teams have been missing for 2 years, are really irrelevant almost. It's like teams that are here are ranked 14 and 18. Well, they're not going to be there for very long. Once everything opens back up again, teams like Pakistan, Korea, Japan, they're all going to be climbing up in the rankings.
Right. Thanks, Coach. Just before I let you go, your thoughts on the other semi-final between Korea and Pakistan. Two fantastic coaches in both their teams, Siegfried, and the Korean coach is fantastic as well. So what are your thoughts on that semi-final?
Yeah, it'll be very, very interesting. I think one of the things you see with teams that don't have not had much time together internationally, and Pakistan and Korea are probably good examples of that at the moment. They improve a lot during the tournament. They get organised. Their defence gets better because they're used to playing with each other again. All those things. So you tend to see a much steeper improvement curve on those sort of teams, and to have them both playing against each other, it's going to be really interesting. Korea come back, so to Pakistan. So the game will finish, right on the 60-minute mark, and maybe even after that. So if there is a score at halftime, it won't be the score that the game finishes at.
Fabulous. And sorry, I said that was the last question, but Manpreet, Satyendra ji has a question for you. Please, if you can take this last question.
Yes.
Sir, you can go ahead. Sir, आप पूछ सकते हैं अपना question. I have unmuted you. I think you can go ahead.
Hello.
Yes, go ahead.
मनप्रीत, मेरा सवाल ये है कि इसमें टूर्नामेंट जितने नए लड़कों को मौका मिला, उन्होंने अच्छा परफॉर्मेंस दिया है, और पर्टिकुलरली खास तौर से डिप्सन 2 साल के बाद इसी टूर्नामेंट से वो राइज हुआ था, फिर एकदम बीच में कहीं गायब हो गया. इसी तरह से चिलारन लाकड़ा एक अच्छे स्कीमर के रूप में आए हैं. मतलब जो सबसे बड़ा इंडिविजुअल खेल नहीं खेल रहे हैं, तो ये नए लड़के या राजकुमार पाल, इनसे कितना इम्प्रेस हैं और कितना, और जापान के खिलाफ मैच में क्या उम्मीद करते हैं कि हम लोग उस प्रदर्शन को कितना दोहरा पाएंगे, कितना सतर्क रहना है?
सर, पहले तो जो जितने भी यंगस्टर्स आए हैं, जैसे कोच ने पहले बोला कि हाँ, कि सभी यंगस्टर्स बहुत अच्छा कर रहे हैं, ठीक है, जितने भी हैं, क्योंकि काफी टाइम से वो कैंप्स में हैं, तो ऑब्वियसली उनको हमेशा चांस चाहिए था, तो इस बार चांस मिला है उनको, तो काफी अच्छा दिखा रहे हैं. तो मुझे लगता है कि अभी तक जो उन्होंने परफॉर्मेंस दिया है बहुत ज्यादा अच्छा दिया है, तो ऑब्वियसली कोच के लिए काफी डिफिकल्ट होगा आने वाले टाइम में. और जो रही बात जापान के मैच की, सर, अभी जापान के मैच का सर यही कि हम लोग प्रेडिक्ट नहीं कर सकते, क्योंकि कल जो पहले भी हम लोग बोल चुके हैं कि लास्ट जो हमारा स्कोर था 6-0 था, बट हम लोगों ने काफी उनको फिर भी चांस दिए थे लास्ट मिनट्स में. तो यही रहेगा कि हाँ, कि नेक्स्ट मैच में हम लोग लास्ट मिनट तक डिफेंस जो हमारी स्ट्रांग रहे, कि उनको एक बार भी चांस भी ना दे, इजी चांस ना दे जहाँ से वो गोल कर सके, और जब भी हमें चांस मिले हम लोग गोल करें, जैसे कि हम लोग को कल जितनी बार भी चांस मिला हम लोगों ने गोल किया, और स्टार्टिंग से लेके लास्ट मिनट तक पूरा 100% दें.
Super. All right. Thank you very much. Thanks, Manpreet. Thanks, Coach, for being so patient and taking all the questions. I hope to chat with you all after the tournament as well, depending on your availability. We will let the journalists know when we can do that. So good luck for the semi-final and hopefully the final as well. Thanks very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, everybody.